Welcome into the Brant Partial Show. So let's talk the Detroit Lions. So, I mean, what's big for the Lions is some of the moves they made in the offseason. Carlton Davis, DJ Reader, Kevin Zeitler. I think DJ Reader was a really nice move. I think with, like, Reader's been an interesting guy. He's been in the league longer than I thought. Played at Clemson all the way back in, like, 2012. But, yeah, DJ Reader... It's funny how kind of the market changes in the kind of the, like, obviously, like, expect, like, in business, like, if there's like the market can change. And what I mean by this is, like, there's a defensive tackle, finding at least a good one is high demand right now, and there's not a lot of them. So it's kind of finding a good defensive tackle is like it's a scarce resource. So the Lions getting DJ Reader is really big. And, yeah, you combine him with Aleem McNeil. I'm sure that's what the Lions' thinking is. They're thinking, like, yeah, we got Aleem McNeil, and then you got hopefully Anzalone can continue to get better. So you got Aleem McNeil just keeps getting better quietly, one of the better defensive tackles in the NFL, and then you get DJ Reader, and you're like, okay, now we got a couple legit defensive tackles, and hopefully DJ Reader stays healthy and has a really nice season. So him, Aleem McNeil, DJ Reader, that'd be a nice combination. And then, yeah, with the Lions, Marcus Davenport, too. Davenport, if you remember, was a first-round pick. If you go a few years back, just has not really lived up to the hype necessarily, but Davenport's a good player, and I think he can he give them, if he plays a full 16, 17 game slate, can he give them 8.5, 9 sacks? Sure. I mean, why not? And I feel like I think that's what the Lions, I'm sure that's what Brad Holmes is thinking. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are thinking when they signed DJ Reader, or when they signed Marcus Davenport, look, this guy's not going to be, he's not he's not the edge rusher that Aiden Hutchinson is. Obviously, that's why he was on he hit the free agent market. But 8.5 sacks, and he's fully healthy, and a nice compliment to Aiden Hutchinson. Obviously, he's going to compliment him in being another good edge rusher. Aiden Hutchinson is on the verge of getting the elite tag, but a compliment in the sense that he's another, at the very least, good edge rusher. So 8.5 sacks, I feel like that's very reasonable, and I think that's doable for Marcus Davenport. He did hit that mark. I think it was only 1 year with New Orleans he got 8.5 sacks, but yeah, Davenport, when he's healthy, he's a nice player who's got a natural feel for rushing the passer, but a first-round guy who just hasn't lived up to the hype. That's the reason why he hit the free agent market, but a pretty solid player nonetheless, especially when healthy. And then Carlton Davis, too, was interesting. Carlton Davis, he's been banged up the last couple seasons. I think that's why Tampa Bay did not want to pay him. But if you look at Carlton Davis, had a couple 2019. If you look at, I got to pull that up again with Carlton Davis. If you look he had a few seasons where it's 18, 19 pass breakups. Carlton Davis, one of those guys where he's kind of like David Montgomery. And I always, you can always throw out the term underrated. And I guess that term is fitting for Carlton Davis. But Carlton Davis is he's just one of those guys where, for whatever reason, in the whether it's the NFL, NBA, he's just he's been good, but just he doesn't get a lot of hype. I think it was because in Tampa, he wasn't even the best player in his secondary. He was arguably, at times, the third best player. I would say probably the second best player to Antoine Winfield, but at times was in some seasons the third best player, because Jamal Dean was another good player too. So I think that's why, if you talk about why isn't Carlton Davis talked about in as high regard as he should be, even though right here, 2019, 19 pass breakups, and then 2020, 18 practice. Why was a guy like that? Injuries the last 2 years is one of the reasons, but then, yeah, arguably a couple seasons in Tampa, the third best defensive back. So it was kind of a combination of that with a little bit of injuries, and then being touted maybe the third best defensive back. But being referred to as the second defensive back in Tampa, knowing that they have Antoine Winfield is not bad. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is Carlton Davis is a good football player, and like Reeder, if he's healthy, he's going to really help. He's going to really help out in the secondary. Like if Reeder's healthy, he's going to be a nice complement to Aleem McNeil and really help out the interior defensive line. So Carlton Davis, I think, has a chance to be a really good player for the Lions. And yeah, he's definitely a boost to the secondary. Yeah, I mean, I like the defense overall for the Lions. I mean, Terrion Arnold, Kirby Joseph, Jack Campbell, Anzalone with a fantastic season. You talk about a season that kind of came out of left field. It was Alex Anzalone this year. I don't think a lot of people were expecting a season like that, but Anzalone it just happened for him. You talk about maybe Anzalone's one of those guys where it just kind of clicks for him. Like people forget, like Travis Kelce wasn't touted as a top 2-3 tight end a few years ago. He just seemed to be getting better and better, and then it all came together, and then it was all just uphill from there. Maybe that's going to happen. Maybe that's kind of the trajectory of Alex Anzalone's career. Is he a guy where it's just like he would, like in New Orleans, he was solid, and then kind of banged up, and then comes to Detroit and he's solid, and then actually arguably last year just was not very good, and then the fans are just like, they brought him back, and then he just has this season, and it's like, man, is it now just clicking for him? Is he going to continue to play like this? Is he going to sustain a high level of success? Is like can we keep these expectations for Alex Anzalone high? So a lot to be excited about as far as Alex Anzalone's play, and a tremendous 2023 season. So hopefully he can keep that going. And then, John Kaminsky, Levi Anzer. It was nice that he made some plays this year. I mean, you talk about a guy that's just, injury, opt-out in 2020 at Washington, he didn't see, and then just injury after injury the first 3 seasons in the NFL. So just seeing him make a play, seeing him on the field was big, and you just hope this guy can stay healthy and he can contribute. You remember, it was interesting with Anzalone. The Lions took him and Aleem McNeil both in that 2021 NFL draft, and some people had Anzalone as the number 1 defensive tackle in that entire class. Now, it wasn't necessarily a strong class, but having a guy, if a guy is number 1 if a lot of people view a guy number 1 in a position, it's usually for a reason. And there was a reason behind it. Anzalone at Washington, you got to go back a few years, but was a really talented player for Washington. Got to go back all the way to 2019. But certainly showed some ability nonetheless. And then, I got Mekhi Wingo, James Houston. Yeah, I mean, you look at I think what's cool about the Lions is they certainly have some depth, and there's guys that are capable of doing some nice things outside of their starters. I mean, Mekhi Wingo, the rookie, I think Wingo could really help them this year. I mean, you look at James Houston too, Malcolm Rodriguez, Derek Barnes. Look at the Lions, their second team depth chart. John Kaminsky, Broderick Martin, Levi Anzer, Josh Paschal, Malcolm Rodriguez, Derek Barnes, Emmanuel Mosley. If you read the Lions' second team depth chart, I mean, if that was the defense they had to put out there for, if that was if that was their starting defense, I wouldn't be too. I would be fairly confident in that. That's a pretty, you talk about. I guess this is a testament to their depth. This is a testament to how good they can, or how good a job they've done drafting. That's your second team depth chart. I think a lot of teams would. This is I think a lot of teams would be excited if this was their defensive line. John Commit, maybe not excited, but I think a lot of teams would be like, okay, this is our defensive line. Okay, maybe we'll be all right with this. Kaminsky, Broderick Martin, Levi Anzer, Josh Paschal, and then and then even the linebacking core, their second, Rodriguez, Derek Barnes. So the second team secondary, though, I mean, Amik Robinson, Victor Kildor, maybe you wouldn't be as confident, but a strong second team depth chart as far as defensively. But yeah, I mean, that's helpful to look at the depth chart, but I kind of want to let things roll off the top of my head as far as talking about the Lions. But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, Pro Football Focus had the top 3 players on the Detroit Lions. And I think they were spot on. I mean, you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, Penei Sewell. I think those certainly are their top 3 players on their team. I think it's hard to argue against that. I mean, you throw in and then Aleem McNeil, honorable mention, but yeah. St. Brown, Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson they've been such good players for the Lions. And yeah, I think they're gonna be really impactful once again for them. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it there, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Brand Partial Show. Stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.